Good afternoon. Thank you very much for inviting me to Korea. This is truly an exciting day for data business, right? My name is Darmadi, as Paul mentioned. I've been with Microsoft over 15 years now, starting with MCS or consulting, Microsoft Consulting, going into partner readiness, pre-sales, and now marketing, right? Currently, I'm a director of technical marketing in Microsoft headquarters in Redmond for the data group. Okay, so Paul already mentioned about data. Data will become a new electricity for all of us. We're in the midst of number 4 revolution, like Paul mentioned. And I just want to highlight the numbers again. The 50 zettabyte. Zettabyte with a Z is actually 10 of a power of 21. So think about it, 21 zeros. 50 of those 21 zeros that will be generated because we need to connect people like you and me. Not only that, we need to connect devices. We also need to connect sensors, IoTs, Internet of Things, right? So as organizations all over the world, as technical leaders such as yourself, you're going to ask yourself a question. What should I do? How should I make sure that my organization is fully prepared to harness all this data that's coming my way? It's not that far away. It's 2020, so it's like about maybe 5 years, 4 years from now, there's going to be a lot of data coming, whether it's in the form of video, text, data, anything that comes in from the sensors, right? Whether it's structured or unstructured. So I'm going to highlight with you, no matter who you are, no matter which organization you're from, whether it's from financial services industry, whether it's from technology, whether it's manufacturing, construction, you name it, agriculture, sports, media, anywhere in the industry, you will be bombarded with this data. The data is coming, right? It will touch you, it will touch me, it will touch everybody in the world, right? So I want to tell you that SQL Server is a great example of a tool that gives you that power to harness all this data that's coming in. Today we're celebrating the launch of SQL Server 2016. It's an exciting day for all of us in Microsoft, and we hope that it's yours as well. Let me go over some key important things about SQL Server. We have come a long way. And according to US National Institute of Standards and Technology, or NIST, they call us because Microsoft is the most secure database 6 years in a row compared to our competitors. You can actually go to the US NIST website and query it yourself, but they track all the security vulnerability among all the commercial databases, including open source databases. Right? We are the lowest in terms of the security vulnerability. SQL Server also the highest performing data warehouse. It doesn't matter whether you're using a small data mart or a very large or complex data warehouse system, we give you the most scalable solution. SQL Server also comes with business intelligence. A lot of people don't know that. It comes with end-to-end mobile BI that runs on any device. SQL Server 2016 will give you modern reports that you can create, and you will run from regular laptop, can run on tablet, can run on phone, whether it's iPhone, Android, or Windows Phone. And all of that, a fraction of cost if we compare that with our competitors. And finally, we have in-database advanced analytics in SQL Server 2016. What is that is ability to not only look at the data in the past, but using the current data to predict the future. We call that predictive analytics. Right, I'm going to talk about more on that one. Right, as Paul mentioned, we at Microsoft allow you to run SQL Server either on-premise in your own data center or in the cloud, in Azure, as a form of VM or as a form of a PaaS service called SQLDB. It doesn't really matter. It's your choice, right? So you can run it on-prem or on the cloud. In fact, I want to tell you that SQL Server 2016 is the first database that is actually born in the cloud. Why should I say that? It's because a lot of the capabilities in SQL Server 2016, which we'll be talking about throughout the whole day, they're actually being deployed in Azure already. And it's being used by many, many customers, so they provide us the feedback that we get from that. So when we package that as an on-prem product for you, it's already undergoing so many iterations, so many optimizations from our customers. So it's actually truly born in the cloud database. And industry is taking notice. So I'm showing you a Gartner chart here, Gartner Magic Quadrant. You're all probably familiar. And this is the Gartner Magic Quadrant for Operational Database Management System. It was published late last year. And Microsoft is featured as the #1 leader in the Magic Quadrant. We are the leader in terms of the completeness of our vision, customer partner adoption, and ability to execute. So this is the greatest news for us who works on SQL Server. We are also leader in business intelligence, which released about 2 months ago. And if you look very closely, some of you in the back probably cannot see, but some of you in the front you can see, Oracle is actually missing in here for the very first time, right? So something that you want to look at. In fact, we are leaders in many areas, many Magic Quadrants, including data warehouse as well as advanced analytics, right? Let me talk to you about everything that is built into SQL Server. In fact, let's do a comparison between SQL Server and Oracle. As Paul mentioned, our commitment is to deliver the lowest total cost of ownership from any vendor, and we are achieving this goal with SQL Server. Typically, as customer, you run database in different servers, right? You have one server maybe for OLTP, one server is for data warehouse, maybe one for your business intelligence, right? So the way we compare pricing is we base on that, and the list price is based on US commercial list price that's published publicly from both Oracle and SQL Server. We are using a server that has 2 processors that has 8 core each, so 16 cores, right? Just for simplicity. And then when we start adding the numbers, starting from OLTP, the transaction system, to ETL, which is extract, transform, load, to data warehousing, to BI, business intelligence, we're assuming 1,000 named users, and advanced analytics, the number is staggering. So SQL Server deliver 11.7 times better TCO than Oracle per year. So it's not lifetime, but per year. For Oracle, anytime you want to use functionality such as data warehousing, you need to pay extra. Anytime you want to do, let's say, high availability, you need to pay extra. For SQL Server, it's the other way around. Everything is built in. All the advanced capabilities that I listed here, plus additional things like high availability, manageability, and so on and so forth, all of them are included in SQL Server. So you only need to pay SQL Server one time. No extra investment whatsoever. Okay? Everything is built in with SQL Server. So not only that we want you to be able to use SQL Server to handle all this data that we talk about, the 50 zettabyte with lowest TCO compared to our competitors, we also want to transform the way you interact with the platform itself. So today, we are disrupting the perception of Microsoft. Customers such as yours, partners such as yours, have been asking Microsoft for a long time, hey, can you guys make SQL Server available in different environments? Guess what? Today, we're starting this journey together. We will make SQL Server running on Linux. Right now, it's available on private preview. If you see the link over there, you can go and register to get a copy to try it out. Target release is mid-2017. So you can use the tools that you love for SQL Server and the skill sets that you have, as well as the resources on SQL Server, to run on SQL Server 2016 that's running on Linux. Right? You can design it, you can develop, deploy, and manage SQL Server on Linux using your familiar tool. During this private preview, we will be supporting Ubuntu Linux. And for those of you who are running Macintosh, Mac users, we will allow you to run it in Docker machine. We'll focus on relational capability for now, and over time, we will expand the offering by supporting Red Hat Enterprise Linux and other Linux platforms, as well as additional workload. So this is really, really exciting for us. It's a big step for Microsoft to make sure SQL Server runs mission critical on Linux as well. Okay? When we announced it last month in New York City, we already got so far over 8,000 customers sign up for the private preview. So the interest is very high worldwide. So we try to make sure the experience is very, very good for customers working on the private preview. Okay? All right. So as we launch SQL Server 2016, if you ask me a question, for this release, what's the number one thing that is the game-changing feature, game-changing capability? I will tell you it's called mission critical intelligence. Let me explain what it is. So database in the past is all about recording as well as retrieving transaction reliably and securely. So usually you have two different systems. Like either you're running mission critical in your transaction system, and here you have your data warehouse and business intelligence, right? And you need to move the data between mission critical and the intelligence via a process called ETL. I'm sure all of you know about ETL, extract, transform, load. Sometimes it's complicated depending on the data size and type of data that you want to move over. It could be slow, it could take hours, it could take days, depending the size of your data. And you need to make sure that this ETL process always runs complete successfully. So there's extra management monitoring that you need to do for that, right? In SQL Server 2016, we're changing all that. We married the two things together. We call them mission critical intelligence. The technologies from SQL Server 2016, such as the in-memory OLTP and in-memory column store, we combine them, we call that real-time operational analytics that allows you to run analytic on top of your transaction table. So now you only have one database. Instead of multiple databases, you have one single database. You can insert your data there. You can pull your data out from there as well, doing your BI on top of that. Obviously with high availability, right? So you can record, retrieve intelligence. You can record, you can host model predictive things that I'm going to talk about soon to predict in the future. In essence, you can build what we call mission critical intelligence applications. So to show you one of those, there's a company here, Renault Sport F1. So those of you who like to race, right? This is one of the enterprise who's taking advantage of mission critical intelligence in SQL Server. They're looking to SQL Server to guide them through this revolution of data. They mandate that every second count. So let's roll the video.
I've always been into cars. I always wanted to go racing. I think I was almost born with it. You know, being able to work in it and being involved in the design is what I've always wanted to do.
The thing that drives me is, I call it mission impossible. You know, trying to invent solutions.
You do need a lot of organisation within this company. If you haven't got the communication there, the structure in place for planning, production, you just end up in a mess.
It's all about priorities. It's about tackling the big things, the things that are most important first, and then trying to catch the other plates, hopefully before they hit the floor. And the role that software plays for me is, it's a very big role. It's in a lot of different departments. It's very heavily involved in our planning. We have to be very good at planning all the way from concept stage in aerodynamics computation and fluid dynamics, all the way through to the track.
The average cycle time of the product is below the fortnight. So we don't have the luxury to say, let's see tomorrow, let's make another meeting next week. It doesn't work like that. And I think that's quite fascinating.
So when I look at the release of SQL Server 2016, it's not just a database release. For us, it's an entire comprehensive data platform. It will power your application today as well as tomorrow. It will help you build mission-critical intelligence application. Right, let me start talking about it from what this database offers. So it has mission-critical OLTP database that I've talked about already. It's also a hybrid transactional analytical processing engine, or Gartner say that it's an HTAP. In fact, SQL Server is the only product that scored 5, the highest score among all the databases. That's why they put us on the very top. It's also a high-performance data warehouse, has great BI platform for you to allow you to deploy your BI functionality across multiple devices. Let me see if I can click this. It's also an advanced analytics platform, and finally, it's the most secure database in the market. So let's go through a few of these capabilities. Always On is available today in SQL Server. Essentially, it's a high availability feature that allows you to have one primary database and multiple secondaries, or we call it replica. And you can do it in a synchronous manner for high availability, or asynchronous manner for disaster recovery. And starting from 2014, we allow you to do that both on-prem as well as to Azure VM. But in 2016, we're enhancing even further. We're providing very easy setup for both on-premises and hybrid environment. So you can do this very, very easily with the new setup. In fact, if you use this with Windows Server 2016, we allow you to do this domain dependency. We take care of all the domain dependency away, so you don't need to have the same domain between your on-prem to your Azure domain. It's also provided load balancing on the replicas for you to run reports. So you can run reports very, very scalable manner. And finally, we speed up the failover for the disaster from minutes to seconds. Let's switch a little bit on the security. And all these capabilities, by the way, you will be talked about deeper in the subsequent sessions in the afternoon, right? So we have this new feature called Always Encrypted. And I'm happy to report to you that SQL Server is the only database that has this feature, and I'm going to tell you why. It makes sure that data is always encrypted, not only on disk, but also when you want to load it to the buffer cache, and also when you want to transfer it to different applications on the wire. So we protect SQL Server data not only from disk, people want to hack the disk and grab the disk, but also people want to do brute force attack on the memory buffer pool, or from network sniffer. People want to sniff the network for the clear text. We got this capability from Microsoft Research. Right? Think about the scenario where you want to store sensitive information like credit card information, but you still want to be able to search it, do a T-SQL query against it with equality operator. So this is how it works, right? So you have SQL Server. Let's say I have a patient database here. In US, we have this social security number, which is very sensitive. It's very unique to one person. So for DBA, it's a matter of encrypting the column. In this case, the social security number column, and you turn that into ciphertext. Only that column, right? Because it's very sensitive. So from client perspective, first of all, the master key that allows you to lock and unlock the data is actually reside outside of SQL Server. It's not in SQL Server. It's outside, meaning that everything in here is encrypted. Everything inside SQL Server is encrypted. So when you want to issue a query, let's say select name from patient where SSN is equal to something, what happened is after you've gone through the driver, the same query that comes to SQL Server is actually in encrypted format. So nobody can actually sniff the network and find out what the query is. So that's the key, right? And then not only that, when it returns back to the client, in the SQL Server side, it's also encrypted. Only when it arrives at the client application, because the client application has the master key, it can decrypt it. And you might thinking about, if you're a SQL Server user, you might thinking, this is like the transparent data encryption. Similar, but it's more. Transparent data encryption encrypts data on disk only. It doesn't encrypt data on the memory buffer pool as well as during network transfer. So transparent data encryption is available with SQL Server today, and it's also available with our comparator database like Oracle. But we give you additional security on top of it. And the nice thing about this is you don't need to change your app. If you look at your app, your applications stay the same. The only thing that changes in the way DBA set up this thing. We'll give you the new network library that will support always encrypted as part of the release. Right? SQL Server is the only database that has this feature. All right, so let's go through one company again, SBI Liquidity Market, based on Japan, and talk about how essential this mission-critical functions such as performance and security is very important for these guys. They are doing Japanese currency trading, and their volume is actually greater than the entire GDP of Japan itself. In fact, they run about 5.3 trillion US dollar currency exchange per year. It's a huge, huge number. So what they do is they use our in-memory OLTP. They make sure that the system is highly secure, and they achieve this number. Think about it, 200,000 transactions per second. System that can support 200,000 transactions per second is phenomenal. And this system needs to be up and running all the time. Cannot have any downtime. Some of you, if you do currency trading, you know currency is actually fluctuates every second, every millisecond, right? So you need to be able to capture all this. And they've done this with SQL Server. Okay, so let's talk about another capabilities here. And in the chart, I'm going to show you a scenario that actually used by one of the US customer in auto industry, in the auto insurance industry. So they're trying to use SQL Server to manage both structured and unstructured data. We all heard about big data, right? From Hadoop and things like that. So what they do is, in this scenario, they have customer information, date of birth, where they live, and what is their accident records, driving records, and so on and so forth. But not only that, they start to install devices in the driver's car that records what the driving's current behavior, where they're going, are they speeding, they're not, things like that, right? All those data are unstructured, right? And they store it in Hadoop HDFS format. So SQL Server brings in a capability called Polybase that essentially allow you to create an external table on top of this Hadoop data, and you can treat this as a regular table. So when you issue a query, you'll just be able to query both the structured and unstructured data. And this company will be able to use that because this data is live from the car itself to give the customer the better quote, the more realistic quote for the company. Save a lot of money for the insurance company, right? And new in SQL Server 2016, we also start to support JSON data type. So not only allowing you to support Hadoop, but JSON as well. Right? A lot of people using JSON data type today for their application. It's very popular, so we're starting to support that in 2016. Next one, And I'm going to talk to you about this scenario. It's a fraud detection scenario where, let's say you have a retail, you're buying something, and you want to detect whether or not there's a fraud or not. Similarly, like when I travel to Korea or travel to places like in Europe, if I charge my Chase card over $200, they're actually going to text me and ask me, are you the real person that's in overseas? Because my card is based on US, right? How do they do that? They have to be able to detect those, right? But if you don't have this in memory, what you do is you need to ETL the data from your transaction system to your warehouse, and then you do that. There is delay. Think about the same scenario where we marry both technologies, in-memory OLTP and in-memory column store together. We call this real-time operational analytics, so you can detect this thing in real time. By having these two technologies combining together, now it's in one database, so you can query easily as the data is being pumped into the database. It solves your business problem in real time, right? So to show you that, let's hear from this customer of ours, DocuSign. They're in the business of capturing genuine signature. Very prevalent in the US where you when you want to sign a legal document, let's say purchasing a house and so on and so forth, they allow you to do that electronically. I'm pretty sure in Korea they're starting to do that as well if they have not already. Right? So they're achieving this goal with the help of SQL Server as well as multiple Azure services. They have become one of the fastest growing company in the technology sector. So let's roll the video.
DocuSign's mission is to make business digital. We help organizations build end-to-end transaction processing that's entirely digital, that has no paper involved, no fax machines, no filing cabinets. More than half of the agreements signed with DocuSign are completed within an hour, and more than 80% are completed within a day. I remember when I bought my home, I was buying groceries and getting things done on the go. I signed those agreements while I was in line at the supermarket. We in part got the deal done because we simply got it done faster than everybody else. Customers choose DocuSign because they trust DocuSign. And we picked Microsoft because we trust Microsoft to deliver secure software for our environment. As you'd probably expect, banks are incredibly trust conscious. In financial services, 10 of the 15 largest banks in the United States are DocuSign customers, and over 1,000 credit unions use us every day. And 13 of the 15 largest insurance carriers in the United States are DocuSign customers. We picked SQL Server as our platform because, frankly, we trust it. We facilitate customers extracting data from our core platform and putting it into systems like Power BI so they can do end-to-end analytics of their entire customer experience. It's very hard for me to imagine another partnership quite like the Microsoft DocuSign partnership. We're partnering with Microsoft to bring the DocuSign platform to users all around the world.
So this is a truly paperless company and trying to make a lot of people to become paperless as well, right? So the next feature that I want to talk about, this is the one that is most exciting about, personally for me. I used to have master's degree in artificial intelligence. Some of you know about neural network, things like that you want to train the network for data in order to predict the future, right? So we acquired this company last year called Revolution Analytics. They are the provider, premier provider for R. R is an open source language. It's the world's most powerful language for statistical computing and machine learning, or artificial intelligence, right? They're very good in doing prediction, this R language, from insight to foresight. So when they acquired this company, in a very short time, we're able to combine their product and merge that into SQL Server, SQL Server 2016, right? So with that, it comes with over 5,000 preview library for all these statistical functions, so you guys can use it immediately. In fact, we allow you to run both T-SQL, which is something that you love, and R script together in the same file. You can run those together, you can put it in the store procedure, you can run it at the same time. It will leverage SQL Server multi-threaded capabilities, it will leverage the MPP architecture, And if you combine this with the in-memory features that I'll talk about, it will really give you a real-time problem-solving tool. Data coming in, you can extract it, and you can run through the model, train your model before that, obviously, and deploy it, and then you can run it in production, operationalize all this. In fact, we are actually merging the two worlds, the world of data scientists, people who knows how to run statistical stuff, machine learning, as well as the database developer. We are combining those together in SQL Server 2016. This is just an amazing innovation that we do with the next release of SQL Server. Okay, so to talk to you about that, this is the customer that everyone knows, right? MasterCard. In fact, they were on stage during our New York City launch. Well, senior vice president, they came over and talked about how MasterCard has used SQL Server and the R that is built in to build the most sophisticated advanced analytics functions in their database. They have built the largest one ever for their company. They're not just building it for their own MasterCard, but how many of you know many companies such as Hilton, right? Hilton Hotel, they issue credit card and it's based on MasterCard. There are other companies also that issue credit card based on MasterCard. What they do is they would analyze this customer's program, the credit card program, to make sure that it's not only is profitable, but also what kind of profitability in the future using R. And because they serve other customers as well, so it's not only MasterCard, they want to make sure that all this data is very secure. So before using SQL Server, they have R servers that's running on separate server. So they have to move the data between the database and the R server and number crunching and then import it back. It's a very cumbersome process, right? With ETL and so on. With SQL Server 2016, since everything now is merged in one, allow them to scale using SQL Server. They have a very large footprint of SQL Server infrastructure that they can scale. In fact, MasterCard has 100 million customers, and each customer has different attributes. Data size ranging from 1 terabyte to 100 terabyte. So they have able to achieve this using SQL Server with 100 to 200 times improvement. In the past, it would be like one engineering team run this, the R script and all that, and then give it back to the database team. Now they allow this to be able to run for the broad company. Not only that, it's running on top of the security and the resilient infrastructure for SQL Server, such as always encrypted that we mentioned, right? Very cool. All right, so let me talk a little bit about cloud. Many of you have data that comes into your transaction system, right? As the data comes in, you store it in one place, and when it gets full, what do? You buy more storage, you buy more expensive storage area network, or most people do this. They back it up to a tape, right? Once you back it up, how many of you know that it's very hard to restore it before you can actually query, right? So it's offline. When you back up the tape, that data is offline. So SQL Server actually solved this problem using stretch technology. All right, let me show you what it is. So assuming you have an application that talks to SQL Server, and let's assume that I'm a retail company, right? I have a table called order history. And how many of you know that if I'm a retail customer, I have many, many rows for order history, right? So in SQL Server 2016, I have the option using policy to determine which table to stretch to the cloud, right? So if I pick order history, automatically in the background, SQL Server will stretch my order history table from on-prem to the cloud. The proportion of stretch is up to you. You determine, right? So most of the time, I put my cold data in the cloud, or maybe the warm data in the cloud, but hot data on-prem. That's most use case scenario, right? Then the great thing is this. When the application issue a query against SQL Server and trying to retrieve the row that's already in the cloud, SQL Server knows that row is actually exists in the cloud. It's good enough to be able to grab the row and return back to the app. So the application doesn't need to change. So again, no application change in this case. Data is always available. We help you save the cost of sand. You don't need to store everything locally anymore, especially for your cold data. You can just pump it to the cloud automatically. And only SQL Server has this. Other databases never have this thing, right? So that's why they put us on the very top. So because of this, you don't need to archive your table anymore. You can put everything in the cloud because cloud has unlimited storage, like Paul mentioned earlier, to harness all this data. You essentially put all this data at your fingertips so you can deliver great customer experience if you're a retail customer, right? Think how much this will help you in your business. All right, I talk about SQL Server running on Linux. That's coming in 2017. But actually, Windows Server 2016 is actually come up very soon. And with that, we have very highly secure infrastructure for 2016 of Windows Server. It will give you mission critical high availability. It's actually a tenth of the cost of Oracle RAC. It gives you unprecedented scale in terms of the hardware. Now we support up to 12 terabyte of memory running on 64 socket, 640 cores. Imagine if you have a data warehouse query that makes use of all 640 cores running parallel at the same time. How much faster would that be? And will help you eliminate cost of SAN with storage space direct with Windows Server 2016. I'm not going to go through it in very detail, but if you upgrade to SQL Server 2016, you get all these performance improvements right out of the gate. It spans from data warehouse query, it spans from high availability to checkpoint, to database management, spatial, all kinds of things. So that's why a lot of these vendors, independent software vendors, they take advantage of these new improvements of performance on their own product. And guess what? They're getting more improvements on their own product as well, like 1,000% for OpenText Pro. Global ERP get about 700% increase. Tableau, which is a BI tool, if you run that with SQL Server 2016, it'll give you 190% improvement. And KPMG also gives you 60% more improvement as well. So to show you that, I'm going to share with you the video on OpenText, one of the ISV that uses these features. Let's take a look.
SQL 2016 is a really big release.
Microsoft is not only doing big investments on the cloud area, but also a lot of big investments on the on-premises area as well.
My favorite area is column store indexes, including the now updatable non-clustered column store index, which is called operational analytics, which is in-memory OLTP combined with the column store technologies. It's the only case where it can really truly take 10 or 20, 30 times faster your workload. Groundbreaking.
People need to be able to visualize and understand their data, and Power BI is a great way of doing that. So I'm particularly excited about the inclusion of R in SQL Server, which will empower people to go and really analyze their data. So for me, it's quite revolutionary.
My absolute favorite is the Query Data Store. That is going to change how I do performance tuning. And so that's one I've been really looking forward to use in real life.
One of my favorite features is Stretch Database, because we're migrating that data workload into the cloud.
It's really great for archiving data and getting it out of their on-premise system and getting it onto some nice, inexpensive storage. IT is spending significantly less money on their infrastructure.
Always encrypted is one of those features that I believe to be key in the development of the product and the adoption of the product, especially because it makes indexing so much easier on encrypted fields. That's kind of a game changer. It makes it so much easier for customers to adopt.
SQL 2016 is the best release for developers, for database administrators, for business intelligence specialists. It's something that really establishes a bridge to the world of big data. Amazing. Really, amazing.
So when you look at SQL Server, I mentioned about having a BI as part of SQL Server as well. In 2016, we allow you to create modern reports that runs on all these devices, right? So to share with you my last case study, let me get a little bit more personal. So we want to talk about how data is being used to fight the spread of pediatrics HIV, right? So the ability for the world, for the better, to put technology to work, change people's lives is something that we're very proud of if we come to work every single day. So this foundation, Elizabeth Glacier Pediatrics AIDS Foundation, is the forefront fight against pediatrics HIV, children. They have over 6,000 healthcare facilities over 14 countries, and their goal is very simple. It's not easy, but it's very simple, to end all the pediatric HIV through research, to advocacy, prevention, and treatment programs. So let's look at one of the dashboards that they have here. Today, I'm going to spend some time on the numbers. There are 2.6 million children living in HIV today. And every single day, there are 600 children infected from their mothers because the mother failed to take any therapy. And because of this foundation, they're able to use SQL Server reporting services, creating all these nice reports. They're able to serve 23 million pregnant women to receive the service so that it prevents the transmission of HIV to their babies. And guess what? This is a very, very encouraging number. They have achieved 300,000 cases where the HIV infection is actually averted, meaning that 300,000 babies are being saved because of their program. Very exciting, right? So let's roll the video.
More than 2.6 million children are living with HIV in the world today. The Elizabeth Glaser Pediatric AIDS Foundation is working to bring the number of children infected with HIV to zero.
We're in 14 countries. We support 6,000 plus public health sites, in particular in sub-Saharan Africa.
She has hope that these two children could grow up, go to school, be educated, get married, and also live in HIV negative-free life.
We've seen a decline in pediatric infections over the last 15 years because of very successful prevention of mother-child transmission of HIV. The systems that the Elizabeth Glaser Pediatric AIDS Foundation uses are built on the Microsoft BI, which then help us aggregate the data, present it in a very easy to understand dashboard with the right analytics.
Data is central to our effectiveness. Power BI is truly important internally for the non-data users. They can customize, they're in control, they're not intimidated by the data.
We've seen over the years tremendous progress, but without a careful analysis of the data, we may fail to see what still needs to be done.
SQL Server 2016 is important to us because 1,000 plus colleagues around the world are working in some remote and difficult settings. Having their data accessible is an asset that allows us to do our jobs better, smarter, more efficiently. This means better services for the Chirango family, for the Takawira family, for their children, and how they live their lives.
I'm happy that so many mothers who are HIV positive and pregnant, they are getting these services, and it is easily accessible in the community.
That's the direct impact of better, smarter data.
What a touching story, right? So just like the foundation, there are many more customers that are actually part of our early adopter program for SQL 2016, and they are already in the process of deploying it in production. We have released candidate version of SQL Server 2016 2 weeks ago, so you can actually go and try it out. So let me close with this. I've shown you that data be able to change people's life. It might be able to change the world, and certainly can change your business. So SQL Server 2016 is the database for mission critical intelligence. Imagine what it can do for your business. Thank you very much today.